Hi, James back with another bottom 10 countdown, and we're going to do a bottom 10 of the 2000s with the worst movies I thought that came out in a decade of the 2000s, and there's plenty, and there should be a few surprises, but there's still the mainstays that you probably expect. So let's start the countdown and see where we get to. Dishonorable mentions, we're not even starting the countdown right now. Oh man. Before we get to the countdown, let's go over some movies that didn't quite meet the criteria for being hated and whatnot. Like the Pink Panther, Steve Martin carries a movie. I find it funny. It's bad. It's terrible jokes, but sometimes you need some terrible jokes. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. It's too much like a 70s Disney movie. Like, too goofy for me, but Johnny Depp is alright in it. X-Men The Last Stand. Brett Ratner's attempt to make a comic movie, and he doesn't get the genre. It's just all over the place. Crank 2, High Voltage. Jason Statham is Jason Statham, but this movie is just everything but the kitchen sink. It's ridiculous. It's insane. But I don't hate it. I admire it, but it's still pretty bad. Night of the Museum, Battle of the Smithsonian. It's another kitchen sink movie. Let's just take what was an original and just expand on it, make it explode, and make it a ridiculous story. And Ben Stiller's pretty good in it. Robin Williams is pretty good in it, but he doesn't get enough screen time that he should. But the story's a little hokey, though. But those are my dishonorable mentions that didn't quite make the worst 10 list. Number 10, you mean we're only just getting started with this countdown? Oh, it's going to be a long list. Coming off the movie that was called Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Ang Lee was a hot director, and Marvel Studios came a-knocking when they brought Hulk to his doorstep. So let's just take everything that's a Hulk and just flush it down the toilet so we can have a story about a man who's adopted because his father went crazy and blew up a nuclear facility. And, oh, by the way, he comes in down the line. Say, hi, I'm your dad. Your life's a lie. Meanwhile, I can't rage against this movie enough. It's just take everything that's a Hulk and just make him into a giant man-child. He doesn't really go Hulk smash. He just cries and has temper tantrums throughout the movie. Doesn't really do anything much except just Hulk smash a freaking sidewalk. I don't blame the actors. I blame Ang Lee and his idea that it's more a father-son story than a comic book movie. Really, number 9. We're only at number 9. This list is starting to look like it's going to be more trouble than it's worth. I'm all for video games being made into movies, and if you have a story, why not go for it? And on paper, Doom seemed like a good idea. You brought in Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, you brought Carl Urban, and they're trying to stop demons from coming from hell. But you take away Dwayne's personality, charisma, just make him just a complete dick in the movie, then that's defeating the purpose of having him in the movie. I mean, I know he's a tough guy, but he's got personality, he's got charm. You don't make a movie and just throw that all away and just try to put the burden on Carl Urban to be the hero. Oh, yeah, spoiler alert, Dwayne Johnson ends up being the villain. But, it's just choppy. Besides that, choppy editing, actions, I don't mind action, but it's just non-stop. It's definitely for people who have very, very short attention spans. And you have the one sequence where it just homages the video game, which is fine, but this just irritated the hell out of me. Only at number 8. Oh, this is going to be a slow-moving ship if I've ever read in one. 20th Century Fox had huge success with the X-Men movies, so why not make a solo movie? So take the biggest star of them all, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and make X-Men's Origins. Convoluted mess of a movie that takes the continuity from the first 2 movies and just flushes completely down the toilet. Takes everything you know about Wolverine and just puts it on its head. Now, I'm not saying Hugh Jackman's bad in the movie, but he does what he can. And it isn't much, unfortunately, because you get a convoluted storyline, just too many plot threads. It's trying to be an X-Men movie without being an X-Men movie by throwing a whole lot of mutants into the movie, and even in some cases taking the mutants and just throwing everything you know about them and flushing them down a toilet. I mean, there's a reason why Ryan Reynolds had to freaking make a Deadpool movie, because I don't know what this monstrosity is, but it certainly isn't the Deadpool everybody knows and loves. It's just a whole new creation entirely that they just slapped the name on. So, infuriating. Number 7. Oh, I'm already 3 movies into this. I'm really tired of this list. It's insane. If you're going to make a comic book movie, don't make it boring. Don't make it about the characters just bickering for 2 hours like in the original Fantastic Four. Yes, I know pretty much the story, and the comic book is just them dealing with their powers for 40 years. I get it. But it's just, it can only take so much of this. I don't like my powers. I don't like this. I don't like that. You're a bad person. It's just the most drama-laden comic book movie I've ever seen. And when you finally get to the action, you got a cynical view to it. I wanted to see it in the theater. So, like, one of the big lines from Mr. Fantastic movie, I basically gave a sarcastic version of it, and I got smacked in the head by the person I went with. So it's just, this movie just one of the most boring comic book movies I've ever seen. Sequel's a little bit better, but it still has its problems, but at least it's not a snooze fest like this one. Number 6, I guess I should be glad we're at least 1/3 of the way through this list. With the success of the Transformers movie in 2007, Hasbro Films and Paramount decided they were going to try to strike gold again with G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra. A convoluted mess of special effects and just ridiculous action sequences. Christopher Eccleston stopped being the Doctor only to jump onto this? I mean, I know it was a few years down the line, but really? Marlon Wayans just looks like he's just there for the paycheck. Channing Tatum's like, at least it might give me better roles down the line. It's just, and what is Joseph Gordon-Levitt doing in this movie? You're too good for it. At least the sequel's somewhat better, but this is just a convoluted mess of just special effects action sequences. Sorry, I'm getting so angry. I'm getting flustered. I've only got 5 films done. Oh, I really can't wait to see what's coming up. You know what the real sad part of Spider-Man 3 is? There's evidence that there's a good movie in there. Now, hear me out. The Sandman storyline is very good, very compelling. It was part of the original storyline that was conceived with Spider-Man and Vulture being the villains. But then A.V. Red was like, well, you know what? Kids like Venom, so you should put him in the movie. But I'd have to do a rewrite. Just make it happen! I need some more time. No, you gotta stick to the same release schedule. Make it happen! So you have this mess of a Spider-Man movie that's just, Sam Raimi did what he could. He's trying to please his Marvel masters, but he doesn't like Venom, and it shows, which is fine, but at least they should give him some more time to give him a more refined storyline instead of, like, force him to say, have Peter Parker become emo. Obviously, one of the worst cinematic moments of the 2000s. This movie had so much hope to it. Number 4. This list is seriously sucking my reason to live. Seriously. We're up to one of the moments I've been regretting. The inevitable appearance of Michael Bay. So, what movie am I going to pick? Let's just make it the one that made me the most angry. Revenge of the Fallen. You don't take your main hero. I'm not counting Shia LaBeouf because he is no hero in this movie. He's just there. Don't take the main hero and Optimus Prime and take him out of the movie, do the fake death thing, probably about 30 minutes into it, and it's like, we gotta figure out a way to beat the bad guys without Optimus Prime. But wait, there's a way to bring him back? Let's figure that out. This is just such a waste of time. I mean, I understand you're filming a movie and just... I mean, I know that it's a quest. It's a search. Fine. Okay. And you bring him back at the end of the movie, and you can figure out a way to make him superpowered to beat the villains. Fine, but don't take the main focus of the film and just take him out entirely. Optimus Prime is one of my favorite characters in the Transformers universe, and you just ruined it for me. Oh, we're getting serious now. We're at number 3. Oh, I really can't wait to see what the worst movies are now. Eli Roth first came into the consciousness of horror fans with Cabin Fever, so he came up with a follow-up that tried to push boundaries even more with Hostel, a throwback to the European horror movies of the 70s, which he loved so much. But the problem is, there's nobody in this movie to care about. Everyone's a snot in this movie. The two leads they're jerks. I mean, all they're doing is just going around and trying to have a good time. There's no reason to root for them to get out of the situation. And basically the whole movie's a freak show when it gets to where it needs to go. It's just... you can see Eli Roth in the background snickering and getting his jollies off by watching this. It's just sickening and disturbed to watch. I'm a fan of European horror movies, of the old zombie movies and whatever from the 70s and 80s, but this is just too much. It's too much, too far, too gross. Number 2, I don't know if I really want to talk about these two movies. They're so bad. You know what the sad part about is Freddy Got Fingered? I laughed at several scenes in the movie. Laughed. But otherwise, throughout the movie, I was just disgusted and scratching my head. Because the plot is... plot. There really is no plot, except for the fact that Tom Green quits his job at a cheese factory and moves back home with his parents and is just a snot for the whole movie. And when you get through the end of the movie, where somehow he's an American hero, you just scratch your head about how ridiculous the trip was to get there. I mean, there are scenes, they're funny. I mean, unfortunately, I'll throw out the "Daddy, would you like some sausages?" quote every now and then, and I hate myself for that. Because it's a dumb scene. It's ridiculous, but, oh, God, I hate myself for quoting it, but I do. Why don't you take a wild guess at what movie I hated the most in the decade of the 2000s? Go on, guess. Back in the early 2000s, in the year 2000 to be exact, when the internet was still, in its developing years, I had an HTML-based website. And basically I said that this movie was going to be the worst movie I'm going to see all decade. And I was right. I'm not even going to say a title. It is what it is. One of the most boring science fiction movies I've ever seen. It's a movie where you're waiting for things to go somewhere, but you're like hitting a brick wall every time. It's not so much about science fiction, but the whole plot is about everyone trying to get leverage over each other. Leverage. That's the word of the movie. That's all everyone's trying to get. I want leverage over him. I want leverage over him. It's like a business movie. I saw the movie in the theater because I was convinced it can't be that bad from what I've heard from every critic. And yeah, it's not bad. It's just 2 hours of your life is you're never ever going to get back. You're going to regret it. I can't say enough bad things about this movie. I could make my own video if I really wanted to just to yell about this movie, but I might pop an aneurysm or get a heart attack or just put my head through a wall if I have to talk about it. But know that I have not seen a movie in a very long time that's as bad as this one. But if I had to talk about the plot, the year 3000, aliens have taken over the Earth for 1,000 years, and one of them gets the bright idea to try to make at least one human smart. And then the one human's like, I don't like being treated like I am by these 9-foot tall aliens, so I'm going to stage a revolt down the line with machines that still work after 1,000 years. Because, nothing rusts and fuel doesn't degrade or anything. I hate this movie. Let me tell you what I did. I bought this movie on Amazon for a penny. $4 total. $3.99 to have it shipped to me for a penny. Ugh. I hate the fact I did that just so I could do this review. But I did it. And I hate it. I hate it.